Cyclocross magazine here with Carl Decker. You raced your first ever Lost and Found and you won it.
I did.
How'd that go out there?
It was kind of like there's a bunch of people and then it just turned into one.
Yeah.
And I was off the front by myself and it was
That's a good problem to have.
Yeah, it's a good problem to have, but it's a really painful problem to have because once you're off the front, like there's no time. Nobody's telling you a time gap, and I just rode as hard as I could because I was afraid of a group working together.
Right.
Because there's some strong dudes here, and I just dug really deep, and it hurt really deeply.
So how many miles solo did you do?
30 something, maybe 40.
Right.
Yeah, a bunch of pavement, and then a big climb that just went on forever. And then the worst part was after the climb, it's just bumpy and sandy dirt road, and I was cramping up and just coming apart and looking over my shoulder, and it was like a horror video.
So you told me you had your eye on this event for a while. Coming into this event, did you have a strategy in mind? Did you research the course?
I rode part of the track, and I looked at the guy that won last year's bike, in pictures and stuff, and I think that the standard for this type of long gravel event seems to be 40C tires on a disc brake cross bike.
Right, tubeless. Yeah.
So tubeless. So that's what I brought, and I think our tires, the Schwalbe G1, is on the light end of that and the fast end, which means it's probably less safe.
Right.
And I kind of took a gamble there, but I was pretty conservative with tire pressure. I ran pretty high pressure, and then babied it around a bunch of corners, and it was not real comfortable and not real safe at times.
Sure.
But I was able to kind of mitigate my risk of breaking down. We started with 10 guys, and all of a sudden, 10 miles later, it was me and another guy by himself, and it was just shrapnel.
Right.
So I like that kind of thing, just kind of trying to pace yourself and make your equipment last all day.
Yeah.
It's kind of a neat skill set that old guys have,
Sure.
and the young bucks will eventually get.
Yeah.
But this is an awesome event. I was swimming in the lake within 30 seconds of finishing the race. And,
for sure.
And it's just a neat area up in the Sierras. It's real close to Downeyville, and I take a shortcut through these mountains in my car sometimes on the way to that event.
Wow.
I've always thought, oh man, I'd really like to ride here, but I don't have the time or the energy somehow.
Sure.
So it's really neat to come here and get to see all this stuff on my bike and ride with a bunch of guys that are fun to follow down dirt roads.
Right. As one of the best descenders and a winner of the Downeyville All Mountain Classic, was it hard for you to manage your risk and control your speed on the descents?
Yeah, a lot of mitigating risk meant letting people go so that the dust didn't obscure my vision.
Right.
Because you're riding 30 miles an hour and a rock like this can end your day. And there's millions and millions of these out there. Right. So you're just, sometimes you're on somebody's wheel and you're switching sides of their wheel.
Yeah.
And normally you just switch sides, but I'd look and make sure that, I was super sketchy, scared.
Yeah.
I was riding with tires made of wax.
Right.
But my roommate was also racing here today, and he had the same tires, same pressure, and he had good luck too. We were two of the guys that didn't flatten that group of 10.
Yeah.
And there might have only been one or two other guys that didn't.
Right. So some luck, some smarts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Smarts. Being just
coming into this
caginess.
Right.
I get called cagey a lot, so maybe it's that.
Coming into this, who were you worried about the most?
Tobin had won it last year, but honestly, Wicks is just. I looked at that guy's hub for most of a 600-mile bikepacking trip a few weeks back, and he was just. There were times when he'd pull for 50 miles, 40 miles straight.
Wow.
And I'd take a 3-minute pull and be like, okay, another 20 miles.
Right.
I stared at his hub for days on end.
So was it just bad luck for Barry today?
Yeah, he was running kind of a setup that I think goaded him into riding maybe too aggressively on the downhills.
Okay.
He's had some kind of bad luck with flats this year.
Sure.
But at some point, it's not luck anymore.
Yeah.
So he needs to run heavier tires or more pressure or just look.
Yeah.
And it cost me energy to take these lines and to let people go and bridge gaps so that I could manage my equipment.
You're someone who's done almost every type of racing, including winter triathlons.
Yeah.
Will you focus on gravel and come back and defend?
I'd like to do this event again. I'm really stoked on the Triple Crown with this and Grinduro and Downeyville.
Awesome.
I think that's an awesome, to take 3 kind of disparate events and make them into one thing with kind of a neat trinket. And
Right.
I think that's really cool. It's certainly one of the types of races that I really enjoy the most.
Yeah.
The vibe of these events and the way that you ride your bike here is a lot like mountain biking was 30 years ago.
Yeah.
And I was doing that
Right.
in 1984, 85.
Right.
So this is special to me, and I'd love to come back to this event. I'd love to do more events like this. And I think, from judging by the numbers of people that are starting to show up to these events, there's a lot of people that are with me on that.
Right. And you were mentioning you hope to do more cross this year. What's in store?
Yeah, I got a slow start, and my plan was to start slow and be slow, and then go fast and cross. And I've got the first two parts down, but I think today is a good sign. I think my form's coming around, and it's just a matter of holding on for dear life at the end of the season. So I never commit to a full season of cross until I can see it on the short distance. But I love racing cross, and I'd like to be racing cross from the front instead of from the middle.
Any chance we'll see you in China with the right bike and right clothing?
There's a small chance. If I do a big campaign across as I wish to, then I might end up in places I don't want to ensure that I can start towards the front.
Yeah. Awesome. Thanks so much for your time.
Hey, my
Congrats.
pleasure.